You've probably all seen a Hallmark Christmas movie before. I guarantee you saw one last year at your in-laws. And there are a lot of different types of these Hallmark Christmas films, such as you got your Christmas Carol remake, you got your Trapped into Christmas Town, of course you have your Accidental Princess, and yet some people look down on these movies. I don't, and I'm here to tell you why I love them as much as I do. Quick disclaimer, I should note that some of the movies I'm talking about are not Hallmark originals, but they're shown on the Hallmark Channel, and they capture the spirit of these films. I'm not going to discuss depressing Lifetime Christmas Channel movies. But if you think I'm going to talk about Hallmark Christmas movies and not mention A Christmas Kiss or 12 Dates of Christmas, you are mistaken. First thing to understand about the Countdown to Christmas films is that they are a license to print money. Over 85 million people watched these movies last year. It accounted for over a third of Hallmark's ad budget. Hallmark has made 136 of these since 2008, and this year, 34 new ones, y'all. So it's happening. Second thing you need to understand is that I love these movies, unironically. They are fantastic. Every year, my wife and I load up the DVR with favorite titles like Wishing Tree and Snow Bride and A Very Merry Mix-Up. And then we also look for new ones to add to the list of classics. Last year's Mistletoe Promise and A Puppy for Christmas were pretty fantastic. So what does it take to make a Hallmark Christmas movie? Well, first off, you need a woman who is unhappy in her job, unhappy in her love life, or just someone who isn't a princess yet. You need a guy who's going to be the love interest, and of course, you need the magic Christmas. You also need a small town in Canada where you can film for tax incentives. Now, you'll probably recognize at least one of the actors or actresses from TV shows in the 90s. Little fun fact for you, almost the entire cast of Starship Troopers has starred in one of these. Pay attention to who's in these Hallmark Christmas movies because there's a good chance the actress is going to make or break the film. Let me walk you through a couple examples, just make sure. First off, Alicia Witt, she is Hallmark royalty, and she can salvage any film. Lacey Chabert, she's close. She's got the pieces. She doesn't have the script yet. Last year's The Sweetest Christmas was close, so hopefully this is her year. Candace Cameron Bure, no. She thinks she's better than Hallmark Christmas movies, and she is not. Hard pass. Speaking of actresses, let's talk about the criticisms of these movies. As you can see from these photos, we've got a diversity problem. I've heard of a white Christmas, but this is ridiculous. This looks like a Fox News staff photo. I've got like a dozen more of these, but let's look at the women of color. Oh, hey, is this? Oh, that's just the one then? Okay, it's just the one then. Okay, that's fantastic. We also have some other issues. These movies are painfully heterosexual. Everyone seems to be pretty rich. And, of course, by focusing on Christmas, they leave out a lot of other belief systems. And, of course, the criticism you hear the most often, these movies are too predictable. My favorite tweet about them confirms that, yes, we're still going to watch and act surprised when Susan falls in love with a small-town baker who only wears sweaters instead of falling for the big city CEO. All these complaints are valid, so let's talk about them. As far as representation goes, in terms of race, class, religion, and sexuality, inexcusable. But one thing they do get right, the main character is always a woman. Quick glance at the box office shows how rare a female protagonist actually is. And again, there's work to be done, but it's an important step, at least in the right direction. People also complain that these movies are predictable. What are you talking about? These movies are bonkers. A teenage girl asks Santa Claus for a boyfriend, and 20 years later he finds her one. A hotel maid ends up becoming an accidental princess. Melissa Joan Hart kidnaps A.C. Slater, and he ends up proposing to her at her art gallery exhibit. These plots are crazy, but they shouldn't work. And why is that? My amazing wife Claire put it best, you can get away with that shit at Christmas. And she's right. Because Hallmark focuses on the magic of the holiday season, these movies can have major plot twists, and we would only accept this time of year. After New Year's, it just seems ridiculous. Bizarre plots, female protagonists are great, but we're mostly drawn to the comfort of these films. The storylines are different, but they hit the same beats, just like any genre does. But these movies are particularly powerful because by focusing on the holidays and love, it allows us to connect with them in surprisingly strong ways. You'd be surprised. So if I ask you for a memory of a holiday, you might have a particular one in mind. Last year was my son's first Christmas, so that one's naturally going to stand out. He's the one laying down. But I asked for a different holiday memory. If I asked you one for 3 years ago or 5 years ago or 8, you're probably remembering a mashup of several different Christmases or Thanksgivings or even Arbor Days. That's because the holidays aren't about one specific moment. At their best, holidays are about feeling. They're about feeling comfortable, feeling secure, feeling like you have enough, feeling at peace. What Hallmark has managed to do is tap into these feelings, those hazy memories, and it's surprisingly effective because in spite of these flaws, these movies actually do resonate. Now, granted, I'll give you, some of them are specific to Christmas, like finding a Christmas tree or seeing Santa Claus. But the rest are pretty holiday agnostic, shopping for gifts, baking cookies, wearing sweaters, eating and laughing with family and friends. You weave love in there, the excitement of finding someone new and connecting with them, and those are pretty generally some universal feelings. And so, the key is, as you watch these movies, you begin to think of your loved ones, and you become attached to that film. And if you don't feel that way about one movie, that's okay. You just wait for the next one to start, which will be soon. Then just watch until you find that perfect one. It's like old proverb says, for every mistletoe over Manhattan, there's a princess for Christmas. Remember that. And that's really, at its heart, the genius of Hallmark. We binge watch so many of their movies, we're actually creating new memories of how we sit around and binge watch Hallmark Christmas movies. We laugh together, we roll our eyes, maybe tear up when no one's looking, and soon enough, it's another hazy holiday memory of sharing a moment with people that we actually care about. So this November 9th, when the temperatures dip down to the mid-80s, go ahead, turn down your lights, turn down the air conditioner, pour yourself a mug of hot chocolate, little whipped cream, little peppermint schnapps, and enjoy the familiar, bizarre, comforting storylines that are ultimately trying to bring us all a little closer together, one accidental princess at a time. Thank you.